So I'm here again with Mickey Mouse. Mickey, thank you so much for joining me. We're actually in a beautiful park, and we're talking. You've got some very, very strange and unusual views, Mickey, about nature. Not one that I'd normally expect from a mouse. Can you just share a little bit what you were saying before about nature?
Just saying that basically it's driven by, as beautiful as it may appear to us with our perspective, it's driven, the engine of it, the whole planet, is death.
Yes.
There wouldn't be any possibility of any form without death, and it occurs on every level, subatomic, on the ground, animals, killing, predation. Predation seems to be the order of the day to keep things going here. We're all consumers of something. So when people attack the system, the so-called system, the man-made system, they're not looking at nature. It's only a model of nature. We're only doing what we're mimicking nature. Consumerism. Nature it's all built on, it's all based on consumerism. Everything is consuming, literally, consuming another being. Lions tearing up something, it's happening all the time. Insects. Subatomic particles, we're breathing in and destroying molecules as we're breathing, oxygen molecules being torn to pieces. It's all harsh.
So tell us, then, we were also talking about God and the idea of, well, how could there be a God that creates a system that's based on so much cruelty and death?
That's right. The Gnostics would say no to that. The original Christians, the Gnostic groups, or the Cathars, they believed that this is not the creation of God. And there is another force which is pure, which is behind it all, a potential. But this is a distorted version. This was another creator that created this. One hell-bent on his own creation. And it broke away. That was the idea of it. The particle broke away, tried to do its own thing, which is indicated in the beginning of the Bible there, with Adam and Eve. Same thing. Adam was just following the same thing again. Broke away from the instruction, which was not to eat of the tree, which was not to commune with this earth. He was not to consume and be sustained by, or even believe the idea that he needed sustenance from this earth. He was already sustained. He already was sustained. He was a pure being, spirit being. Didn't need to eat of this world. But through the so-called weaker sex, he was seduced, which I think is a reference to the womb. The woman is more earthy because she has a womb. She has a womb. She develops a seed inside her body. The man does not do that. He doesn't nurture anything. He doesn't nurture anything, so he's more detached from the earth. So coming back to that, I think that the Gnostics believed that this was not a production of the God at all. No God could have produced a realm like this, which is so riddled with killing. It would have to be a creation of some other being, which they considered to be a lesser being, which they called the, I can't remember the name for their God, the creator of the world, but there's a name for it.
Right. It's interesting you say that, because one of the things I thought that was quite amusing about the story of Adam and Eve is that it seems it's the first example of God using neurolinguistic programming. Because, you know, from my experience, I'm sure you, Mickey, with you, I know that you've also, your mouse has grown up, your child.
That's right.
Your son mouse.
That's right.
He's grown up. A mouse, and he's grown up now, but I'm sure you remember, surely from his days, that our younger days, if you'd say something like "Don't do this,"
right,
then that would be a trigger for him to do exactly what you said.
Taboo thing is always attractive. Taboos are always attractive.
That's right. So Adam's told, "Don't eat from the tree."
That's right.
By God, which makes God in that story a bit of a manipulator, really.
Not really, because if you look at it,
he knew he was going to do it.
Yeah, not really. No, it was just really, if you are a parent and you say to your child, "Don't," you expect the child to obey. So it was a test of his obedience.
Right.
It was simply a test of obedience. Is the woman's power more potent than his own loyalty to his father? And that's what it's all about with children. That's what you would expect of your child if you had a child, is to not follow the peer pressure of conforming to the drugs or whatever. You know why, because you may have been down that road yourself and seen it to be destructive. So you say simply with love, "Don't do that." And you'd expect the child to be connected to you sufficiently that it would obey that command.
Right.
And trust you. The key is trust. It was a test of trust. Do you trust me enough and love me enough to follow that command? Knowing that I love you. How can I tell you something that is going to be bad for you?
Right.
How can I deny you something that's going to be good for you? If Adam knew that, he would have obeyed, because he knows that his father would only do something to enrich him, not to diminish him. He didn't know that, and that was what the problem was. He didn't know, so that lack of knowledge led to the downfall, and the banishment from the previous pristine condition into the next scene of the story is now he has to, by sweat of his brow, earn his living.
Like this lot.
Exactly.
Like
So that grace,
walking past.
the grace that was already his, he lost because he didn't have faith. He didn't even understand that he was in a position of grace. So ignorance. So there you're banished from that situation. Then hence now the next frame is you're toiling like the animals, like the insects. You're party to it now. You've eaten off the tree. So now you're subject to that. The fruits of the tree have manifested in you. You become like the tree. You become like the earth. You're bonded to the earth plane. And the wages of that sin is death. Right. And then it comes back to what we said. The engine of the engine of the world is death.
So if the system is just a mirror of, of a destructive world.
Yep.
Right.
That's right.
If that's the case, then I just wonder. It's such again. I'm really sort of thinking out loud with you, Mickey.
Yeah.
How do I relate to this?
The
how
solution
do I
is
relate
there.
to the system, which seems to be in sync with the whole destructive nature of this planet.
Well, in the same way that the early Christians did. They were also subject to it, and they realized that they were subject to it and born of it. But that doesn't mean you have to comply. So the power of the mind is sufficient. It's very powerful, and it can lead you against the very thing that you're made out of. That's the power of the mind, and that's what you must exercise. That's what we said earlier. Only the individual can become enlightened. Only the individual. The power of the group mind, the mass mind, the animal magnetism is too strong. So you have to exercise your individuality to become free of it. Then you will perceive of a realm that is pure. And it will begin, in the beginning, it will be only a perception. It will only be a conception. It won't be anything tangible that you can grasp hold of. So you have to go through the dark nights of the soul, and you have to travel through the wilderness without water, because you're not getting any confirmation from peers, from the system, from nature. There's nothing you can turn to. And that's necessary to become mature. Then, through persisting with your conception, it becomes real for you. Then you can be an agent that maybe you can bring something, manifest something here. Right. Create some kind of pure realm here. It will only be a small group, maybe like Pythagoras done in the beginning, or Epicurus done, set up their garden and their small community, but then hopefully you hope it will grow. People will be infected by that purity, and they will see, yes, we are intoxicated and we'd like to be pure, and they join, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. But that's a long-term process. You can't force people to do it either. You have to attract them, like the sun does. Everybody feels lovely in the sun, in the sun's presence. It doesn't force anybody to feel lovely.
It'd be funny to have adverts for the sun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Come
you don't
stand
need to.
in the sun.
That's right. You don't even
it's
need to.
Warm
that's
and really
right.
nice.
The system doesn't need to do it. It's ridiculous. The sun is too powerful. So that is it. I would say the reason. That's what we came to earlier. The reason why the ancients saw the sun as a god is because it is the only purity here. It's the only pure individual burning here, solitary soldier in the sky that's showing you the alternative way. It's not part of the earth. It powers the whole thing. Hands up.
There was just a little break there in between. So you were saying.
So I was saying the whole thing maybe hangs on a vowel. It's not the S-O-N of God. It's the S-U-N of God.
Right.
maybe
that's what happened.
Maybe the whole thing hangs on a vowel. The sun.
Yeah, imagine if Jesus came back and said, listen, you made just a small,
that's
tiny
right,
little error.
Right. Chinese whisper. See, just one tiny little mistake and it makes a dramatic difference, tremendous difference to the outcome of how it's played out, the game. See, you must understand precisely what's going on here. Then it's a revelation. It's not the S-O-N, it's the S-U-N, the one that never leaves you. That's what he promised. I will always be with you. I am the light of the world. Well, read the man's word, what he's saying there. That's it. I am the light of the world. You can't get any more specific than that. Look at there. Where's the light of the world? What is the light of the world? What's power in the world? What's bringing life to the world? It's there in John 10:10. I have come to give you life and give it more abundantly. That's what the sun does all day long, without any need for glory, without any comeback, and without any need for glory, without any trumpets. Without any trumpets, he just gets up every morning and does his thing.
I reckon the sun could be really pissed off. Do you think the sun could be like pissed off?
The most ignored star in the world, superstar.
Yeah.
The most ignored.
I mean, they have the royal wedding, right?
That's right.
But why don't they have
even Elton John gets more acknowledgement than the sun? How can that be? A superstar totally ignored. Totally ignored.
It doesn't seem to be offended though. It seems to be shining every day.
That's the power of it. That's why it's super. There's no other star like that. There's no other star that can survive without acknowledgement and adulation. See? But yet it still blasts out its power everywhere without a problem. No bitterness, just as pure, look, just as pure. And also without any prejudice. It blesses all. Serial killers, insects, lions who are ripping deers to pieces. It doesn't have any problem with that. It blesses all with its rays. Now what saint can do that? See? That is the example of a pure saint.
Walking past, you think he could do it?
Yeah, he might be able to.
Maybe.
Yeah, if he gets a suntan. If he stays in the sun long enough, it might have an influence on him.
Maybe this lady next to us.
I'm sure she's also aware of the power of the sun. She's a sun worshipper.
Forgive absolutely everyone.
It's difficult. Yeah, it'd be very difficult.
Yeah.
It'd be very difficult. Yeah, for sure. But I think that's the game. That's what we're in.
Mickey,
here.
I must say this has been
so
definitely
relaxed.
my favourite episode of Mickey Mouse so far. And, you know, I've enjoyed
Mickey
your past incarnations. But
Mickey
this
the
is definitely my
Messiah.
favourite.
Mickey the Messiah, is it? The solver of all problems. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't want no halos here. It took me long enough to get rid of the cheese, to get rid of the cheesiness. Let's not start developing delusions of grandeur here.
No. Especially not in the presence of the sun.
I'm a humble mouse.